What's going on, guys? I got a comment on my Roland JX bowed string video from Work for Synths. He asked, how we did this patch. So I thought I would walk you guys through how exactly to create a similar sounding patch of your own. Here's the patch as it is. Let's create a bowed string patch on the JX-08. Now this is a great sounding patch for cello or double bass sounds, and sounds pretty good for some violin or viola sounds as well. Let's begin with a fresh patch. Now, I consulted a few Sound on Sound articles for some general principles involved in stringed instruments. Here we can see a diagram of the general frequency zones, and we can use an oscillator in our DAW to help us match this a little bit closer. Now let's start with a single oscillator assigned to a saw wave. Fortunately, on a fresh patch, this starts us here. We have this. We have DC02 down, just using the one oscillator. And that is the foundation of any string sound. The saw wave matches the sound of a bow being dragged across strings. Now we will put the range down to 12 feet. That's more for the double bass, so we can have it there or at 8 foot for the cello. We will come back to the LFO later. Great, now let's tackle the amp ADSR. Now we want to give a moderate amount of attack and decay, so the sound fades in, and then it reaches its peak loudness, and then slowly gets less loud as it goes down to the sustain level we set. Well, let's hear how that sounds. Now, the decay is too fast. We want to draw that out, make it a little more realistic. So let's bump that up a little bit. Maybe we'll lower the sustain a little bit. That's pretty good. Shapes the sound. Maybe slight more attack. Add some dynamics. Cool. Oh, right. Let's add a tiny bit of release as well. Cool. Now we have the general shape of our bowed string sound over time, but we still need to address the tonal qualities to get it more string-like. To the filter section. All right, we are at the filter section. So one thing we need to do is adjust the high pass filter to roll off the lowest lows. We still want some, we don't want it to have no bass. Next, we need to adjust the cutoff frequency. I find it useful to consult an oscilloscope. So we're going to open up Neutron here. This is a really useful tool to help see what's going on with the frequency. Now it has a boost around 3 to 4K, or 2,000 to 4,000 hertz is the peak frequency response for a violin body using a bowed string. So we're going to try to have that be the peak. Add a little resonance, add some resonance to emphasize it's around here. All right, that's pretty close, pretty good. Basically, you want it to roll off around 2K to 4K and give it a little resonance to, boost the frequency there. Now, tonally, we're a lot closer to where we want to be. In order for our patch to feel more live, we need to add modulation. Let's start by adding a tasteful amount of portamento to simulate playing a fretless instrument. Great, now we have added some portamento. You want to lower it just before it sounds, really obvious. That seems to be the sweet spot. Next, to the LFO. Now this is where things get really interesting. Many cello or double bass players bring in vibrato a short amount of time after playing a note. Fortunately, the JX-08 has a delay time knob for the LFO, which is really nice. So the key here is to adjust the delay time to when you want the vibrato to kick in, and then adjust the rate to match something realistic. We'll turn up the LFO on the DCO so we can actually hear it. Now that sounds super goofy. Really key point here is you need to change the waveform of the LFO to a square wave. This sounds way better because you'll be oscillating between the bass pitch and the vibrato note you are modulating up to. Something around there. You need to fiddle with it until it sounds right. Now, when I made this patch the first time, I referenced some YouTube videos of double bass players playing to get an idea of the speed and how long they waited till they brought in the vibrato. It's really up to you. Play around with it until it feels right. You also need to adjust the amount of the oscillation you give with the LFO so it doesn't, pitch it out too far. All right, the patches sounded pretty good. Right now I'm using the onboard reverb effect, which sounds decent. Now let's add some external reverb to really get that sound to the next level. I'm using Valhalla Vintage Verb here. I like to put on a concert hall with a 4-second decay. It sounds really good with a heavy 60% mix. So Reaper decided to crash mid-take, so I don't have the complete audio here. So this is another, I was messing around, tuning things, trying to get it in a nice spot, adjusted a few things with the patch, like with the LFO, rate and time and depth. Hope you guys enjoyed and have fun making your own string patch on the Roland JX-08. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye.